Good evening, my dear YouTube viewers. Today also we will continue the experimental technique. Greenwood has classified the experiments both in physical and social sciences into 5 categories. Number 1, pure experiment or laboratory experiment, uncontrolled experiment or natural experiment. Third, ex post fact experiment. In this type of experiment, the experimenter tries to reach the cause via effect. Fourth, trial and error experiment. Fifth, the controlled observation study. The peculiar social experiment lies in their design of research, its planning and outlay for its purpose. In a social sciences, the experiments first of all become the conscious about the problems and then try to think of various means by which it may be solved, and out of them choose one as being most appropriate. The process will be called as hypothesis. Difficulties in experiment. In comparison with physical sciences, the use of experimental method is severely limited in social sciences. This is due to the extreme complexity and mobility of social phenomenon. This is nothing but the thoughts never be stable in the human society. It is always too dynamic. That's why it is not easy to control the experiment. Complexity of social events. The social events, various causes are in social events, various causes are involved and they are also interrelated, interwoven to one another. Example JD, that is juvenile delinquency. It is a social occurrence which consists the multiple causes or the factors, may be psychological, social and economical, etc. behind the screen. This is why it is not quite possible to make use of experimental method in the study of juvenile delinquency. The social occurrences are, as a rule, of highly complex by its nature. Next, lack of homogeneity. As the subject matter of physical sciences inhomogeneous, it is easy to make experimentation. But the subject matter of social sciences, it is heterogeneous. That's why it is not easy to trace out the experiment and its result. As a matter of fact, no two similar social phenomena or events are exactly same or alike. No two married couples have the identical experiences. Therefore, experimental studies about the marital relations, if you have been studied by the masters, that is the experts, which they can maintain which they can get only limited value based results. If some marriages get broken because of inadequacy or inadequate sexual satisfaction or non-sexual family expressions and the methods among couples, this will not hold good for other couples too. Once again we will recap the information. The Greenwood has classified the experiments both in social sciences as well as the physical sciences into 5 categories. Number 1, pure experiment or laboratory experiment, uncontrolled experiment or natural experiment. Third, ex post facto experiment. In this type of experiment, the experimenter tries to reach the cause via effect. Trial and error experiment. The controlled observation study. The peculiar nature of social experiments lies in the design of its research work, its planning and outlay for its purpose. In the social sciences of experiment, first of all, one should become conscious about the problem and then try to think of various means by which it may be solved, and out of them choose one as being most appropriate. This process will be called as hypothesis. Difficulties in experiment method. In comparison with physical sciences, at the use of experimental method is severely limited in social sciences. This is due to the extreme complexity and mobility of the social phenomenon. Complexity of social events. The social events, various causes are in the social events, various causes are present and they are connected with one another or interwoven to one another. Example JD, that is juvenile delinquent, which is a social event that occurred through the multiple factors. Those factors may be psychological, social, economic, and others, which was behind the screen. This is why it is not quite possible to make use of experimental method in the study of JD, juvenile delinquency. Social occurrences are, as a rule, of highly complex nature. Lack of homogeneity. As the subject matter of physical sciences, we can easily see the elements are homogeneous by its nature. It is easy to make the experimentation and the observation, but the subject matter in the social sciences, there is no homogeneity. Instead of that, we will see heterogeneous nature, so that it is not easy to trace out or to conduct the experiments, and the results is always be the anomalous, that is in a zigzag unequal pattern. As a matter of fact, no two similar social phenomenon or events are exactly alike, that is not same. No two married couples have identical experiences. Therefore, experimental studies of marital relations as have been made by the experts or the masters, which can have limited value only. If some marriages get broken because of inadequate satisfaction, maybe for the sexual activity or non-sexual family expressions or other matters too among the couples, that will not hold good for the couple. By this, today's lecture is completed. This is Bindu taking leave from the YouTube platform. Good day and good night.